Welcome to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. These light warriors, both native New Yorkers, walk their walk, talk their talk, and keep the real in the deal. This dynamic duo joined forces to assist you through your transformational journey one step at a time, empowering you with spiritual tools you can use in your daily life. Each show begins as a conversation creating an opening for spiritual connection. There are never any scripts, and Spirit is always illuminating the way. And that's when the shift hits the fan. The magical messages of the ancestors, spirit guides, and Gaia are respected, honored, and always given sacred space to communicate. Join Marilyn and Elizabeth as they shake shift up and do what they do best, speak from their hearts.
Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. This is Elizabeth and
Marilyn.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
And we're so excited you guys are here with us. Today is 2/2/2022. And I was telling Marilyn and our producer, that is the divine feminine up the woo-zoo-zoo. It's big time divine feminine energy going on. Things are swirling and twirling and happening. Yesterday was February 1st. We went into Bridget in bulk, which is a time of the midway to spring happening. And you can Google that if you want more information. But we also went into the water tiger and the Chinese New Year. We went into a new month, rabbit. And we had a new moon in Aquarius. My moon is in Aquarius. And I'm going to tell you, some exciting things are happening right now. I have a client who's been waiting for that job to show up. And I said, it's coming. You got to get there. And bam, it showed up right on the 1st. Arthur Finley Spiritual College, which I've been trying to get to on these little wings for 2 years, is opening up on March 26th.
Woohoo.
So, this angel with an edge is heading to the UK. It's my next dangling carrot. And we have a lot of exciting things happening. And the biggest thing is, this is really kind of officially the new year. It's the new beginning, and the Aquarius energy is here, air energy. Things on the rise, things moving. Some of you may remember that I talked about being on that platform station, waiting for a train, wondering if I was getting on, getting off, meeting someone. Well, I'm on the train. I don't know where I'm going yet, but things are rolling and moving. So, how's it going for you over there, Marilyn?
Oh, it's going really well. I was thinking about your train, and I wanted to, of course, me, I always want to jump in. And so I'm going, yeah. And it's such a different train, and it's such a different ride. It is definitely not the old train you were riding before. And that's
right.
What makes it exciting. That's what makes it exciting, right?
It's exciting.
That
it's
you're no longer on,
anticipation.
you're no longer on that old platform waiting to get on that same train that was taking you to the same places.
Yeah, I may have no idea where I'm actually going, but I'm going, and I'm excited, and I'm not afraid because I'm so sick of not going.
Yeah. So it's
exciting stuff. We need to give our phone number out first of all, because we would love for people to call in today. So I'm just going to read that to you guys really fast, because I lost the phone number, Marilyn. My whole
the phone number is 202-570-7057. 202-570-7057. And call in if you have a question.
Yes.
Call in if you want to do a little energy shifting, right? Call in if you just want to just say, what do you have for me today, right? Because sometimes we just need that little spark, right? So, and here we are, right, with the open lines of communication. We will be talking about different things today, but we want to also make the calls available so that you can also participate. Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Anything. We're
yeah.
open. We're open to all comments or suggestions, or and if somebody wants to ask a question, of course. I will say something too. A lot of people have heard about this, but 2022, February 2nd, is also the day of the Pluto return for the United States. The revolution. Marilyn just I have no idea what that is, but I hope you're okay, darling. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, and it's really interesting that this just happened because Pluto also semi sextiles the galactic center, which is like the birth of everything. And put it all together, it means the world's fate is about to change. And as soon as I was going to get that out of my mouth, I heard a big crash. What? If that isn't spirit making noise, what's going
Oh
on,
my
Marilyn?
God.
Ow.
Well, I had something on my desk which has been there for like forever, and all of a sudden it just toppled over. Like
Oh my goodness.
it just toppled
You know,
over.
like top secret, not really top secret, but Marilyn and I Zoom together and we put our sound off so we can see each other because she lives in New York and I live in Colorado. And we like to be able to interact with each other organically and not make big plans. And I just heard this crash and I saw Marilyn's eyes get real big.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you,
Oh,
this is
baby.
all
Yeah.
right.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
kind of energy that we're in, uncharted territory, unexpected happenings, and yeah. So, wow. Let's take a deep breath, shall
Okay,
we?
so I'm taking
Let's
a
just
deep
take a,
breath, and I'm
a
bringing it all
nice
back
deep
in, right?
breath. Mm-hmm.
Because
Um,
when things like this happen to me, I just know that, I there's a focus, right, that I need to be paying attention to.
when
And
we say shift up, I mean,
yeah, and I'm going,
whoo.
okay, I'm listening. I'm really listening here. Right, it's the spilling of the waters, right, overflowing, right, and because this is what happened. I mean, the waters just
Did
like
you
my
literally spill water? I didn't see that. I just saw you.
yes, it's like the
Mm.
waters just toppled over, and it just like, I mean, I felt like, okay, here I've been blessed, I've got all this water poured over me. Okay, it's
Is
okay,
this
I'm
Florida
going.
water?
And it's not, it's
It's
just
not Florida
regular
water. It's
water.
just regular
So
water. You're
yeah,
baptizing yourself.
so I
That's
am
what's happening.
being purified and baptized and and
Well,
cleared
I'm
and
gonna hope that
cleansed.
doesn't happen to me because my tea is really hot.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Right?
yeah.
So and it was just when I was about to talk about how I was thinking back on the day that you were talking about how we are, what you said, what word did you choose for the year, Marilyn? And you chose vitality, and I chose freedom. And, I'm always saying, be mindful of the words that you choose because they have so much power behind them, right? And so the universe is so busy now showing me how to, and if I'm really truly ready to accept that freedom that I'm calling for. So many things are presenting themselves to me to be able to say, okay, are you going to choose you, or are you going to choose, and choosing you means choosing your freedom, or are you going to choose to stay in the same energy, as before, right? And not that the energy was bad, it was just that it was so different. It was just that it was so, how do I say, disempowering of me, of my power, of my energy and my feel, right? And recognizing what it is that I'm wanting, right?
I
So
think that's really important too, what you just said there, because, you do have a choice. You
yes,
can stay
always.
stuck. You
Yes.
cannot move forward. If
Oh,
somebody's not
yes.
ready to move forward yet, or their soul isn't
Yep.
ready, this isn't about judging people and how fast they're moving
Nope.
along. Some people came
Nope.
here to never. move forward.
And that's
And
okay
that's part
too.
of their path.
Yes,
Exactly.
and that's okay
So,
too. But I have been
but it's
feeling,
important to know you have a choice and you have to
yes,
implement that choice too. Because
yeah, yeah,
you picked that word, and I know I've seen it, I've witnessed it happening to you.
yes,
You
yeah.
pick that word, and the universe says, "Oh, yeah? Are you really
Fire up.
ready? Are you really prepared? Because here you
Yeah.
go." And
And
then
what are
you
you going to
go, "What?"
choose?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you
Yep.
going to choose in this moment? And it's so interesting because I had I don't know what you want to call it, whether it's an awakening or whether it's a clarity, a
Epiphany.
vision,
Epiphany.
yeah, where I recognized, right, that the importance of freeing myself up so that I can be more present for others. And it's kind of like it's interesting because in saying that, I also recognize that I'm also giving up the being there for others, but in a different way. And it's just like I can understand I mean, I got on such an emotional frequency, where it was almost like I was being asked to choose. Which way are you choosing? Which path are you choosing? Are you going to go to on a certain, on a different frequency than the frequency that you're choosing, which is the freedom? And or are you choosing to stay in this other frequency, which is going to mean, and really literally, I really felt all of this. I felt everything. I saw it before me in making this decision, that it was in making the decision in not choosing me, in not choosing my freedom, I was then going to have a major shutdown. And I mean, I wept because I could feel it deep within me that this is not what I wanted to do. And this is not what I came here for. And I just felt like, you know what it is that you're here for, and you're not shutting those doors down. As a matter of fact, there aren't any doors. It's just that path that you just need to stay on the path
You
and
know, when you
release.
said that,
Uh-huh.
yeah, when you said that, you know what I saw as soon as you said doors? I saw saloon swinging doors. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
not really
yeah.
doors, but they are doors,
Yes.
right? But they're just
Yeah,
very light.
yeah.
So,
It's okay. Yeah, so it's
sorry, my dogs
interesting.
are going crazy because we're in the
And they
middle
want
of
to talk
Christmas
too.
and they have cabin fever. Yeah, they obviously want to talk to you. Um,
Yeah.
So, yeah, talk a little bit more about what happened with you being challenged, because I know you have a very specific, you know, incident that showed up. So, talk about that a
Yeah,
little more
it's
so
it's
our
it's
listeners can understand.
right. It's experiences that I'm so familiar and are so comfortable for me, where I'm able to just always say yes, 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 I'm there. Yes, 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 I'm available. Yes, 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 I can sit with you. And that's a good thing. It really is a beautiful thing because I honor the ability to sit with others in sacred space. I honor the ability to listen, right, with an open heart and in sacred space. But it's also the ability to be able to say, there are certain things that I am willing to do, and then there are those things that I'm choosing not to because I need to continue on this path. And I can no longer allow anything or anyone to step in and change the path that I'm on. And so this is what is, this is the frequency that I'm on, right? It's the recognizing that what it is that I'm here to do is truly important. And if I have to let go of certain things, like people, places, and things, to obtain and to stay on that path, then so be it. Then so be it. And that's where I am with this.
Yeah, I love that too because one thing you said that I thought of was maybe also take a little pressure off yourself, because we do feel pressure. We want to show up for everyone. We want to be there for everybody. But maybe part of that path is also their path,
Yeah.
not being able to rely on somebody in themselves or to be stretched themselves to
Right.
show up in a new way for themselves.
Right.
So every little ripple in that rock on the pond has an effect. And some of those people that maybe use us a little more as an emotional crutch or need more from us, maybe it's time that I shared a story with you about how when I was 18, my mom kicked me out of the house after my dad had died. And, my friend Carl had a cat under each arm, and I had all my stuff in a garbage bag, and I was yelling at her. But it was the best thing she ever did for me because she made me strong and independent and knew that, I wasn't ready she knew I was ready. I didn't know I was ready. And so by her doing that action, which I know was so hard for her now in hindsight, but then I was just so mad, right? Sometimes things like that, like the water, get your attention because it's like something shifts and you go, what? And that's how spirit works sometimes. It's just, when things are ready to move, if you're not moving them, you will be moved where you need to go.
Oh yeah. And I recognize that I get in the instant messages, right? I get the instant, okay, wow. I see that. I feel that. I am witnessing that. I acknowledge that, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, all that is important. And, I pride myself sometimes, and I guess, I in the reality of my reality, right? That I teach people. I don't tell people. I teach people different ways of doing things, different ways of, being in the world, and they can choose which one they want or even create one from the mix mash of all the things that I give them. But I never, ever, ever, ever expect anyone to be dependent on me, because I have to tell you that when I feel someone dependent on me for everything, I run for the hills, because I know that is not what I'm wanting. That is not what I'm wanting for you. I'm not wanting that for you. I'm wanting you. I have to leave you because I can't sit with you, because you can't grow and expand in my space if you are so attached to everything that I, say and do for you, right? I'm going to teach you. If I'm doing it for you, I'm teaching you in that same space, right? So this is what this is about, right? This beautiful exchange of energies.
All right, darling, you know what? We're going to go to our first break, and you can dry off or whatever it is you need to do to... and I'm going to get my barking dogs back inside from the blizzard, and we're going to come back. And, you always get the real and the deal from me and Miss Marilyn. So
there you go.
We'll be right back. Please call in if you feel called, 202-570-7057.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it, Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Hello, welcome back to Shooting the Shift. And I'm going to tell you, we are shaking things up today. I can see the energy is just insane.
Yeah,
That's the word
it
that's
is.
coming out of my mouth right now. I don't know what happened, Marilyn, but we just went into a vortex. Okay, so people are probably waiting for the rainbows and the unicorns to fly in the background and the noise. I don't know. But yeah, so I think today what we really wanted to focus on was emotional and energy vampires. And we all have them in our lives. We all have people that pull at us, that need us. And I also really did want to talk about, being nice, because that plays into the emotional vampire energy. So I know as a young girl, I was always told to be nice, be nice. And I remember once, I'm going to share this story. I remember once when I grew up in New York City, I lived in a loft and we had the kind of crank elevator that opened up to our apartment. And it was an old crank elevator. So if somebody from downstairs needed the elevator, they'd ring the button, you'd pick them up, they'd take you back to your apartment, and you would then they would take the elevator and be in charge of it if anybody at the bottom rang for it. And so one time I had an encounter with a neighbor. And I basically told him, to F off because I didn't like what he had said to me. And I was maybe 17, 16. And my mother said, you need to go. We live with that person. You need to go and apologize. And I'm like, I'm not going to apologize. I didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't being nice to me. And I'm not going to. And my mother and I had a standoff. And she made me go apologize. And he lived on the floor above us, and we had a stairwell. So I went up that stairwell, and I pretended that I went in and apologized to him. And I came back down a few minutes later, and I told my mom I'd apologized. And this is how cool my mother was. She got in the elevator with that man a couple days later and said, oh, I'm so glad, Beth apologized to you, yada, yada. And he said, she never apologized to me. It's okay, I was busted, right? But what happened was my mother said to me, you taught me a really big lesson because you told me you were not going to apologize. And you told me you weren't treated fairly and you were going to stand with that. And I made you lie to me because you had said to me, I won't do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the only times I've ever really lied to my mother, ever, but she had the wherewithal to see that. And my dad's side of the family was, be nice, take crap, fake it till you make it, smile though your heart is breaking, whatever. And I think it's really important because sometimes we try and be nice. We try and show up even though we're betraying ourselves. And that may sound really simple, but it's really quite complex if you've grown up with the pattern your whole life where you're supposed to please people and show up for people and be nice and don't make waves. You know what? Sometimes you have to make waves. Sometimes it's all in the delivery. It's not that you can't be kind. But sometimes you have to say to people, enough is enough, or I can't do this, or whatever it is, you can be kind and be honest. That doesn't mean you're not being nice. It just means you're being honest and true. Yeah. And I know for me, particularly a lot of friends, my female friends, I think that was the message for a lot of us in our generation. Be nice, put yourself last. And that's how you realize that when people show up and they're asking for things from you, and then all of a sudden you're like ready to bite their head off, well, it's not because they did anything wrong. It's because inch by inch you gave your energy away and kept doing something you didn't want to be doing, or felt obligated, and then you explode, right? Or you snap.
Yeah, and it's really not an explosion. It really has to do with you coming to the reality of, this is not me. This is not what I really am, what I want to do. I'm somehow choosing to do it, but I'm choosing it out of habit. I'm choosing it out of the automatic, way I do things, right? Because you've been taught, right? Like I was always taught to take care of everybody. Like I was in charge of taking care of everybody. And so that became my identification, right? I identified with that. And it was
everybody
good.
in your life probably saw you as the one who will take care of everybody.
Yes. And then it became that. I became that. And then there was a time in my life where I said, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be responsible for all of that, because when I'm responsible for all of that, right, then I don't have time for me. I don't have time for what I'm choosing or what I'm wanting, right? And so that became the, how do you say, like the, the riff, right? In the, in the understanding of what is it that I really want to be doing, and then why did I take the role on? And so there you go, because I'm that person that says we just have to keep digging. We just have to keep digging and digging and digging and digging until you get to the root of why it is that you are responding or reacting or behaving or receiving information the way you're receiving it, because it has a lot to do with an old belief system that, what maybe was working at a time, right? Because maybe it's all about survival at that time, yeah? And it worked really well. But now you don't need that. Now you just need to, reinvent some other way of, tuning into you so that you can figure out what it is that you really want to be doing, right? Instead of, always reaching back into that old pattern, that old way, right? Because this is what happens to us, right? We go back into, the ease of it, I had written something, and I had written something in my journal on January the 23rd, and it has to do with change, but it also has to do with what we've been talking about. So I think I'm going to, if it's okay, I'm going to just read it quickly. And hopefully some of this will, I don't know, just maybe there's a part here of a frequency here that will help others as well as they're listening. So
awesome.
So this is about change. And I wrote this in my journal on January the 23rd. And it says, change is possible when you believe and know that it is possible. Change is possible if you want and desire to change. Change is possible when you choose change. Change needs the catalyst, which is you, to activate the possibilities. Helpers are everywhere, yet first you need to see yourself as a helper. Asking for help and guidance is beautiful and helpful. You are the intricate part of the puzzle. Trusting your process is vital for change. Dismantling prior behaviors and processing take time and courage. And letting go of the old way can feel devastatingly difficult, but staying in the energy of self-destruction is tragic. Old patterns are stronger because there is an ease about them. New patterns and behaviors need more assistance and consciousness to reinforce them. Changing patterns require strength and conscious thinking and the understanding that you will digress. Managing the state of digression, gently reassuring yourself as you self-correct, co-create and accept the new patterns. Traction and momentum are important in your planning and creating your plan. Momentum is necessary to achieve your goals and set desires. Having no traction or momentum for your desired outcome will surely serve to detour your goal. You must become the master of your destiny. First, you must begin with remembering what you are wanting to change, and then you need to proceed as needed. Raw honesty with self and others is a necessary component for a successful outcome each and every time. Each and every time. To be less than honest about your feelings and desires will only serve to keep you in the pattern of less than and limited belief. Creating stories or not speaking one's truth will turn the energy against you and maintain the cycle of not good enough. Recognizing each and every time the patterns as they turn up is a forward move in your journey of right thinking. What is right thinking? Oh, it's when you feel whole. It's when you feel that you are enough just as you are. It's when your thinking is in alignment with who you are. It's when you trust yourself in your communication with others. It's when you love yourself above all others. It's when you are at peace with yourself in all your interactions because you know that it is right for you. Pleasing others while negating yourself is not self-love nor self-care. It's sacrificing your dreams, hopes, and desires. When you remember that you are the savior, the victim, and the perpetrator in your life, you will find yourself and recognize that the actions taken were necessary to get you on this path of rediscovering yourself. You know, and in little tiny little fonts I wrote, your inner wisdom. So we're looking for the inner wisdom, the inner compass, the gifts that we brought to share with the world. And this is what we're aiming to rediscover in the self. And I thought, how powerful for the experiences
So
that I have been
powerful.
experiencing.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I wanted to say, that is just so powerful. And um what I really love that you said so eloquently was the raw honesty, which is exactly what I was talking about being kind versus being nice. Because in that raw honesty and that authenticity is where we take the accountability, but we're
Yes.
also catching glimpses of who we really are. I mean, how long have I lived on this planet where I really didn't even know who I really was?
Yeah.
And didn't even have a lot of glimpses. I mean, I guess that's part of why they say awakening, duh, having a light bulb moment right now by my little self. But,
Or who you
you
thought
know,
you were. Or who you thought you were.
right, right, who I thought I was. And can we please say it's a new dawn and a new day and the juju and the divine feminine is up the woozy. So listen, we are all rediscovering ourselves. We're not
Yes.
supposed to know everything. It's about discovery, adventure, and wonder. And
And
that's how
working
spirit
together.
works.
And working
Yes,
together to get
collaboration.
there.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't have to do this alone. I mean, no one has to do this alone. You know, we can gather, we can get together, we can like use the phones to make a phone call. You know what I'm saying?
Zoom.
Right? Do anything that pulls you closer to the frequency, right? That you are recognizing now as your frequency, because there may be a time, there may have been a time, and probably could be still, right, where you're
Yep.
vibrating on somebody else's frequency and you're not recognizing that. And so it's
Let's
important
talk
to,
about that.
yeah,
Let's talk more about that frequency thing.
yeah,
Because for the longest time, we had this little discussion a little bit yesterday, and it
yeah,
just kind of got me started. When you think about people that fall away, right? We did time, reason, season, that whole thing.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But when you come from a place where you go, wow, there's nothing wrong with these people. There's nothing hurtful. There's nothing vindictive. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to repair. They speak Japanese and I speak German. We used to both speak, French. But all of a sudden, bam, just like what happened to you at the beginning of the show, something unexpected, the frequency
yes,
changed.
yes,
And there is a lot of that feeling of Did I do something wrong? Did I not show up? Was I not there enough? Whatever our messages are, when really it doesn't have anything to do with that at all. It's that was a moment, and that was an agreement, and now that's over, and there's no charge to it. And I will speak for myself. I've spent so much time, trying to make things better, trying to explain myself, or wanting to understand another person's side. And when I look back now at 58, I go, wow, if I had all those minutes back, all that time back, all that energy back. But of course, I had to do all that to get to that thought, to get it back, which I never will, because that was my lesson and my path. Voila, my job is done. The show is over.
Well, it's a path, right? It's a path, right? And the interesting part of this thing is that when I see frequencies and I'm working with people, and energetically I can see so many different they're swirls, and they're all kinds of different shapes, and the energy that's moving through them is so different. And there is a language to these frequencies as well, that are moving through, in and out and around and about, and it's so important. Sometimes in the work, right, you can see that there's a frequency. You can see that there's, that energy field that is out of sync, because the frequency that's in it really landed there and got stuck, and it really just needed to just move to the next space, but it wasn't able to. It got stuck, and it got stuck because something happened that we shut down in that time and in that space and in that moment. And there it got stuck. It just got stuck, and it's okay. Because if we can recognize that, yes, it did get stuck, and yes, we're still feeling that, then we can assist in moving it, or dissipating it, or allowing it to move in its own energy as it was intended to. It just got stuck, and that's okay. And we can say it's okay, because as this continues to move, ebb and flow, right, in its own frequency, in its own energy, we get that frequency back on track. And we start to feel better, because we start to feel more ourselves, than probably we ever have felt. And that's why it's so important, to I tell people, go inward, try to understand what it is. Yeah.
It is very much a Jack in the Box kind of feeling, It's and then it's like all of a sudden, I just had this image, Marilyn, me with my images.
I know.
Like you twirl, and then bam, out comes the Jack in the Box. Yeah. And it's like, who's that person?
Yeah, okay, because
darling, we got to go to a break. Okay. Again. Can you believe it? Wow. Yeah, someone's got to keep us on time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
You guys will be right back. Please stay tuned.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With everything going on, there may be times you feel like you can't handle it all. Journaling, meditating, and talking with friends and family can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope. your kids are also going through a lot of new experiences, and simply talking with them about their feelings can be quite powerful.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Oh my goodness gracious. I got to tell you, like I am like laughing so hard. I can see Marilyn in the Zoom room, and she has been in an altered universe ever since that big crash happened. I want to say, I just think it's really funny because I set up the woo-zoo woo-woo, and it has just been ever since, and the power of your words. So the imagery I'm having is literally Dorothy, of Oz, as her whole house is lifted up, everything in it is shook up, bam, she lands in a foreign land. And we're not trying to get back home. I mean, Dorothy eventually got in that hot air balloon and went back home. There is no home anymore. There is no Kansas. We're not getting back in a air balloon. We have landed in uncharted territory, and the key to your journey, as I see it and feel it for me, is the more you can be in wonderment, the more you can be in awe, the more you can be in anticipation, and the more you can say, I just don't know yet, but that's okay because I know something really great is coming. And I have a few little seeds and I have a few little breadcrumbs, but I don't really know what this pie bread / miraculous masterpiece is going to look like. But I mean, nothing I have felt in really, I don't think ever, and since I woke up in my health transformation, I have to say with this journey, I have not felt such new energy coming in collectively as I have in the last 48 hours. To me, it feels very hopeful, very promising. I can see why people might be struggling because it is so new. Mm-hmm. But I have a life path of 5, which is change. I've just been waiting. I've been waiting for this to show up, and you're not going to hear one complaining peep out of me because it's finally here. But Marilyn, you have been making me laugh. I don't know if any of you are Mary Tyler Moore fans, but it's like Chucky's the clown in the funeral where she's sitting at that funeral and she starts laughing and, laughing at a funeral. And of course, the more she tries not to laugh, the more she's laughing. And so
a good laugh is so necessary sometimes, right? And I feel like here, Spirit said, Marilyn, here we go. Boom. Things are going to be shifting and changing in an instant. Just take a look, Take a feel, and feel it, honey. Because you see, I cannot not feel it. I'm soaking wet.
Not only can you not feel it, you said you wanted freedom, and you're like suspended in that air right now, twirling one of those little twirly birds. And I've never seen that. I've never seen that in you. But it is, you are suspended in some of the freedom. And so let it just kind of settle in and feel it. And it feels on good, your skin.
Yes. And it feels so good, right? It feels so good, and it feels empowering, when you're able to say it out loud, and when you're able to own it, and when you're able to say, yes, I acknowledge what it is that I need for me, and I will continue to radiate in that energy and in that space, because I understand that this is the path that I'm on, right? And, I think that for a lot of people, even those who are listening, those who aren't, right? There's such a shift in this, in the frequencies right now, right? And I'm kind of feeling it almost like a collective, and I'm feeling like, ooh, and I'm praying, right? That we are able to connect to it, but in a very loving, caring, compassionate, loving way. Because the frequencies really sometimes can come in a way where if we are not conscious and aware, right? We can how would I say, interpret them very differently than the way they are how would I say, vibrating, right? Or, this is a frequency. And then what happens is that then after you connect to this frequency, then, and you feel it and you own it and you claim it and you're good with it, then you are vibrating in that frequency. Then you are vibrating in that frequency. Yeah,
I think it's really important too. Like for me, and again, I can only speak for me. I'm not going to speak for anybody else out there. But, trying to get your bearings in the old way or hold on to that last little station pole at the train station while you're on the train, you're going to cut your arms off, right?
Yeah.
Just get in the air and be okay with going with the flow of I don't know. And that is scary. But if you can look at it as anticipation instead of control, because the more you try and control something, the more you're going to feel out of control. Literally.
Right. And we can control
and this
nothing.
This is not a time to control. This is a time to rise and allow what's coming in. I truly
let's surrender, right? Using the word just surrender. I surrender to this process. I surrender to this moment. I surrender, right? To my process, to my understanding.
Ooh,
wow,
it's like when
right?
you get your iPhone and I don't know about you, but I really cannot stand, I'm not using the H word, cannot stand when I have to upgrade it. So it's like you get a new phone and then it gets upgraded and you're like, what? I don't know where anything is. I don't know how to call my Aunt Flo. I don't know, it's like, what in the heck happened? And you've got to figure out step by step, this is how it goes. Now I know this is over here now. This is over there. This is a new 3D feature I never saw before. But that's the feeling. That totally captures how I'm feeling right now. Like my iPhone just got plugged in and I'm like, this is not my iPhone anymore.
But wouldn't it be beautiful, right? If we can say, because what happens is that we, right, have been kind of taught, right, that change is difficult, it's scary, it's ugly, it can just mess us up. It can, every negative connotation, right, is embodied in change, and when we're able to break free from those definitions and we're able to say, oh, no, change is amazing. Change is expansion. Change is growing. Change means I'm learning. Change means all the beautiful stuff, right? I'm able to experience something different. I'm able to, to be different. I'm able to flow with my light, all of that. If we're able to say that in my expansion is change is a part of my expansion. And if I say yes to change, then I'm saying yes to me so that I can present myself in the world, right, as I came here to do. But what happens is that when we are fearful of change, because of all the things that we believe it is, that it really isn't. Because change is opportunity to grow and expand. Change is the opportunity to see the things that we couldn't see before because we were closed to it. Change means there is so much beauty in the world that we just couldn't see because we were blinded by the definition of what we thought change meant.
Exactly. Whoa. And back to Oz. I'm going to go back to Oz again. Dorothy didn't know she was going to meet her best friend that was 10 men on her path. Dorothy didn't know that she had the power within her in those shoes. Dorothy didn't know what was coming. We may have seen that movie 30 times. I've seen it 30 times. So I know
seen
how
it a million times.
But the first time, all of it, including the witch showing up, and she didn't know she could melt the witch with the water. Water. So funny. Because that's what happened to you today. But so yes, there were some things that were scary, of course. There were a few things. Nobody's saying it's all rainbows and unicorns, or school's not like that.
Well, but they were scary. But
Yes.
there, and that's the key. The key is they were scary, but were they really? Because it was all
Yes.
based on your interpretation and your perception on whether it was it really something that you needed to really fear, right? Because in reality, she always had the opportunity to just click her heels and not experience.
Yeah.
But see, part of the important piece here, and I love that you're bringing this up because the journey is just as important as where you are heading. So enjoy your journey
Yeah. She
along
would
that
have never got
path.
those shoes on
She
and clicked them if she hadn't gone through the
and
journey.
she wouldn't have never learned about the heart place, the brain, the mind, the thinking mind, just
Courage.
yeah, the courage that is needed at times, right? Like all of that, she would have missed it if she would have missed it, but she took the path and she got all of that. And then
On
at
the
the end,
ride.
man, right? She went on that beautiful, beautiful ride that took her to the place of knowing that it's always inside of her, because it's always inside of us. Whatever it is that you're looking for out there, stop. Just stop. It's not out there. It's inside of you. It's so inside of you. And if you can just believe that in your core, oh my God. What awaits you is amazing.
Even if it's just a glimpse, even if you get
Yes.
a glimpse and then you get another
Yes.
glimpse and you don't have to go around going, I don't feel it all the time. Listen, people,
don't
I
have
don't
to feel it all the time.
either.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to function.
Yeah, you can't feel it like that all the time.
No.
But at least having the understanding that, and trusting your process, knowing that you are learning, understanding that you are a work in progress, right? And that you're going to trust your process through it all. Because going inside and taking a look at what it is, what are the feelings that you're having? Oh, you're having those feelings because you're having those thoughts. And you're having those thoughts because you're having those beliefs. And you're having those beliefs because they got stuck in you. They became a part of you. They became you somehow defined yourself with them. And that's not a bad thing. I don't want anybody to think, oh my God, no beating up here. And this is not to be critical. This is more about what happens to us as people, because this is what happens. And it's okay. We can say, oh my goodness, I recognize that energy. I recognize that frequency. I see where it's coming from. I recognize that pattern, that belief pattern that really isn't serving me anymore. And I no longer want to hold on to that belief, system anymore. That's not for me. I can feel it. I can feel it inside of me that it no longer fits. There's no place for it to reside. So we can allow it to move.
Because there's no frequency anymore in the old. And that's that's what I love too is, old Dorothy didn't know she had her power. Old Dorothy was in black and white. Old Dorothy was stuck in Kansas with pigs and cows dreaming of something better. New Dorothy went into Technicolor. New Dorothy met her mind, her courage, her heart, and she embraced her power, right?
Her inner being, yes.
That's the big thing I think we should leave people with today is, the old story and the new story. Because the old story is old. It is done. It is now complete. And it's transforming into something new. And I think the more we can be in wonder and awe of that, the more we can open it up and expand it.
Yeah, because that's so powerful, right? When we're able to say, we're closing, this is the end to this book that we have written, right? And now this is a new beginning. It's a new chapter. Let's create a new chapter in our lives. The new story, right? The
that
new.
Was the old me. I don't do that anymore. That doesn't matter anymore. I don't care about that anymore. My attention doesn't go there anymore. But now I go, right.
Yes, and
Sorry,
that's
darling.
that's no, that's good
excited.
because that's where because that's where the power is. That's where the power
right.
is. That's where the power and the momentum. The momentum. If we have that momentum, we're going, we're moving, right? Then we're being in our light, right? Yes, right. We're being in our light, and that's when stuff happens, right? It's not when we are,
The magic.
Magic. Yeah, it's so important.
Frequency of the magic.
Yeah, so focus on the frequency, and the frequency means how am I feeling in this moment? Am I not feeling good? Am I feeling down? Is something troubling me? Oh, I got to shake that off, right?
Yes,
what can I do? I shake it off. Shake it.
But it does. It changes your energy. You know, you and I both listened to some of Tony Robbins. He offered 4 days of his free coaching, and it was incredible. I mean, that man's energy is insane. And that's the one thing I got, the takeaway from him more than importantly, is I need to get up and shake my body and get back into some pumping, like every hour. For 2 seconds, even 3 minutes, whatever it is.
It's so interesting and so powerful, right?
Because forced into it.
My thing, well, I didn't even get a chance to do it, but
oh wow, we're
rhythm
cut off by the music.
Yes,
you guys, peace and blessings. Welcome to our wonky show. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Call us. Okay, blessings, love, and light.